The bullies shoved the black teenager into the mud as phones recorded everything. Suddenly, a convoy of 50 bikers rolled up. The lead biker dismounted, stared at the teenager for a long moment, and made a decision that would change both their lives forever. Jamal's hands were shaking as he folded the leather jacket into his backpack. 3 months of work. Every stitch done by hand in his dad's garage after he fell asleep. The leather was cheap, bought from a thrift store and restored piece by piece. But it was his. His art teacher, Mrs. Lee, had given him an A+ that morning. She'd even taken a photo of it. For once, Jamal felt proud of something. The final bell screamed through Washington High's hallways, and students poured out like a flood. Jamal kept his head down, clutching his backpack tight against his chest as he shuffled toward the parking lot. His size made him an easy target. At 16, he carried 240 lb bits on a 5-7 frame, and kids didn't let him forget it. "Yo, look who's waddling out." Jamal's stomach dropped. He knew that voice. Ryan Thompson stood by the bike racks with his 2 shadows, Mike and Shane. Ryan was the kind of kid who peaked in high school and didn't know it yet. Varsity jacket, slicked hair, a smile that looked friendly until you saw his eyes. Jamal tried to walk past them. "Keep moving. Don't make eye contact." "Hey, I'm talking to you, Jameson." Ryan stepped into his path. "Heard you made something in art class. Let's see it." "It's nothing," Jamal mumbled, gripping his backpack straps. "Nothing. Mrs. Lee was showing it off all day. Said it was exceptional work." Ryan made air quotes, mocking the teacher's voice. "Come on, fat boy, show us." A small crowd was forming. Phones came out. Jamal felt his face burning. "Just leave me alone, Ryan. Wrong thing to say." Ryan shoved him hard. Jamal stumbled backward, his backpack slipping off one shoulder. Mike grabbed it before Jamal could react and unzipped it. "Whoa, check this out." "Check." Mike pulled the jacket free and held it up. It was dark brown with copper stitching along the shoulders. Amateur work, sure, but detailed. Hours of effort in every seam. "Give it back," Jamal said, his voice cracking. Ryan snatched it from Mike and examined it with exaggerated interest. "Did you make this for your boyfriend or wait? Did you think you'd actually fit in it?" He held it against Jamal's chest. "Newsflash, Jameson, you'd need 2 of these." Laughter erupted around them. Someone yelled, "Roasted!" Jamal reached for the jacket. Ryan yanked it away and tossed it to Shane, who caught it and immediately threw it again. "Keep away!" Like Jamal was a kindergartner, he stumbled between them, sweat dripping down his back, his breath coming in short gasps. "Stop!" he whispered. "What's that?" "Speak up." Ryan cupped his ear dramatically. "I said stop." Ryan's smile vanished. He walked up close, so close Jamal could smell the energy drink on his breath. "Or what?" The crowd went silent. Phones recorded everything. Jamal wanted to fight back, wanted to punch that smug face, but he tried that once in middle school and ended up suspended while his attacker walked free. So he did what he always did. Nothing. Ryan laughed and turned to the crowd. "That's what I thought." He held the jacket up high. "Yo, this thing even smells like him, like sweat and failure." Then he threw it, not to Shane, not to Mike, straight into a puddle near the curb. The jacket landed with a wet slap in muddy water mixed with oil and trash. Jamal's vision blurred. He rushed forward and bent down to grab it, but Ryan kicked his legs out from under him. Jamal crashed face first into the same puddle, muddy water filling his mouth and nose. His glasses flew off and skittered across the pavement. The crowd roared with laughter. Someone shouted. Whale beached itself. Jamal lay there soaked and gasping, his fingers scraping uselessly at the dirty jacket. He could hear the laughter, could feel the weight of every eye on him, could imagine the video already spreading through group chats and stories. This was his life. This was always his life. Then something changed. The laughter stopped. Not slowly, instantly, like someone had hit a mute button on the entire parking lot. Jamal lifted his head, muddy water dripping from his hair. The crowd was staring past him, their faces frozen in shock. He heard it before he saw it. A low rumble, deep and mechanical, growing louder. Jamal turned his head. Across the street, a convoy of motorcycles was pulling up to the curb. Not just a few. Dozens. They stretched down the block, chrome glinting in the afternoon sun, engines growling like caged animals. The lead rider wore a black leather vest with patches across the back. Some kind of club logo Jamal couldn't make out from this distance. The bikes rolled to a stop. Engines idled. 50 helmeted figures sat perfectly still like an army waiting for orders. Ryan took a step back. What the hell? The lead rider dismounted slowly. He pulled off his helmet and ran a hand through salt and pepper hair. He was tall, broad-shouldered, probably in his early 40s. Tattoos covered both arms. A scar ran across his left eyebrow. He scanned the parking lot, taking in the scene, the crowd of students, the phones, the bullies standing frozen near the bike racks. Then his eyes found Jamal. The man went completely still. His expression shifted from curiosity to recognition to something Jamal couldn't identify. Shock, maybe, or pain. Jamal stared back, confused. He'd never seen this man before in his life. The biker's jaw tightened. He turned to the convoy and raised one hand, making a simple gesture. Every single engine shut off. In the sudden silence, the man's boots crunched across gravel as he walked toward the parking lot. The other bikers dismounted and followed, forming up behind him like soldiers, 50 bikers walking straight toward them. Ryan went pale. "We should go. Nobody moves," the lead biker said. His voice wasn't loud, didn't need to be. It carried authority like a physical force. The crowd parted as the bikers entered the parking lot. Students pressed against cars and fences, making room. A few teachers had come outside but stopped at the edge of the scene, uncertain. The man walked straight to Jamal and stopped. He stared down at him for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he bent down, picked up Jamal's glasses and carefully wiped them clean with his shirt before handing them back. "You okay, kid?" Jamal took the glasses with trembling hands. Up close, he could see details. The man's green eyes, the small scar on his chin, the way his jaw clenched like he was fighting to stay calm. I'm fine," Jamal managed. The biker's eyes softened for just a moment. Then he stood and turned toward Ryan and his friends. "Which one of you threw the jacket?" Nobody answered. The man stepped closer. Behind him, 50 bikers stood in absolute silence. "I asked a question." Ryan swallowed hard. "Look, man, we were just messing around." "Pick it up." Ryan glanced at his friends, at the crowd, at the phone still recording. Then slowly, he walked to the puddle and picked up the muddy jacket. The biker pointed at Jamal. "Now apologize, dude." "Seriously, we didn't mean. Apologize." The word cut through the air like a knife. Ryan looked at Jamal, then at the ground. "Sorry," he mumbled. "Look at him when you say it." Ryan's face flushed red. He met Jamal's eyes. "I'm sorry." The biker nodded slowly. Then he looked at Mike and Shane. "You too? Same thing." They stammered apologies, their voices barely audible. The man turned back to Ryan. "You and your friends are going to walk to the principal's office right now. You're going to tell them exactly what happened here. Every detail, understand. You can't make us." The biker leaned in close. "Son, I've spent the last 15 years working with at-risk youth and running community programs. I know every school administrator in this district, so yeah, I can make you now move. Ryan and his friends practically ran toward the school building. The man watched them go, then turned back to Jamal. He opened his mouth as if to say something, then stopped. Pain flickered across his face. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. "Jamal. Jamal Washington." The biker closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them again, they were wet. "Jamal," he repeated like he was testing the sound of it. "I'm Marcus." He extended his hand. Jamal stared at it, confused and overwhelmed. Then slowly he reached out and shook it. Marcus's grip was firm, but gentle. He held on a moment longer than necessary, studying Jamal's face like he was memorizing it. "Come on," Marcus said finally, releasing his hand. "Let's get you cleaned up." Jamal didn't understand what was happening, didn't know why this stranger looked at him like that, didn't know why 50 bikers had just appeared out of nowhere to defend him. But for the first time in years, as he stood there covered in mud with a crowd of students watching in stunned silence, Jamal felt something he'd almost forgotten. He felt protected, and that terrified him almost as much as the bullying had. Marcus signaled to a black woman with short dreadlocks and a leather vest covered in patches. She nodded and spoke quietly into a radio clipped to her collar. Within seconds, the bikers began moving with military precision. They formed a wide semicircle around the parking lot entrance, blocking any exit. Their presence wasn't threatening exactly, but it was absolute. Nobody was leaving until this was finished. Jamal stood there dripping, his rescued jacket hanging limp in his hands. Students whispered behind their phones. A few teachers had gathered near the main doors, uncertain whether to intervene. Marcus turned to Jamal. "Stay here for a minute, okay?" Before Jamal could answer, Marcus strode toward the school building. His boots echoed on the pavement. 2 bikers flanked him automatically. The woman with dreadlocks and a massive white man with a beard down to his chest. Vice Principal Knox emerged from the main doors, his tie loose, and his expression somewhere between alarmed and irritated. He was a thin man who'd worked at Washington High for 20 years and handled most discipline issues with tired resignation. "Excuse me, you can't just..." Knox stopped mid-sentence when he saw Marcus's face. "Wait, Marcus Washington." Marcus stopped. "Hello, Tom. I'll be damned." Knox actually smiled. "How long has it been? 5 years? 6 since the toy drive?" "Right. Right." Knox glanced at the convoy of bikes, then back at Marcus. "This is quite the entrance. What's going on?" Marcus's expression hardened. 3 of your students just assaulted a kid in your parking lot, threw him in a puddle, destroyed his property. It's all on video. He gestured to the crowd of students still holding up their phones. Knox's smile vanished. "Which students?" "Ryan Thompson and 2 others. They're in your office right now. I sent them there." "You sent them?" Knox caught himself. He looked past Marcus to where Jamal stood, muddy and shaking. His eyes widened slightly. "Is that Jamal Washington?" Marcus's jaw clenched. "Yeah." Something passed between the 2 men and understanding that Jamal couldn't hear from this distance. Knox exhaled slowly. "All right. Let me handle this properly. But Marcus, you need to keep your people out here." "I can't have." "We're not going anywhere until this is resolved," Marcus said quietly. "But we'll stay in the lot. You have my word." Knox studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Fair enough. Give me 20 minutes." He disappeared back inside. Marcus returned to where Jamal stood, the woman with dreadlocks still beside him. "This is Tanya," Marcus said, gesturing to her. "She's been riding with us for 15 years, runs our community outreach programs." Tanya smiled warmly at Jamal. "Honey, let's get that jacket cleaned up before the mud sets in." She pulled a clean cloth from her vest pocket and gently took the jacket from Jamal's hands. Jamal watched as she worked on it with practiced efficiency, wiping away the worst of the mud. Other bikers had produced bottles of water and were helping, treating his amateur art project like it was something valuable. "You made this yourself?" Tanya asked. Jamal nodded. "It's beautiful work. These seams are hand-stitched. Yeah, it took me 3 months. I can tell this is quality craftsmanship." She held it up, examining it in the sunlight. "My sister used to do leather work. This reminds me of her early pieces." The big man with the beard crouched down beside them. "Name's Dave. You all right, kid?" "I guess," Jamal said. "That was brave what you did." Jamal blinked. "What?" "I didn't do anything. You got back up." Dave said simply after they knocked you down, you tried to get your jacket. Didn't run. Didn't beg. That takes guts. Jamal had never thought of it that way. He'd always seen himself as weak, pathetic, a punching bag. Marcus was watching him with that same strange expression, like he was seeing something painful and precious at the same time. "Why are you helping me?" Jamal asked suddenly. The question had been building in his chest since Marcus handed him his glasses. "You don't even know me." The parking lot went quiet. Even the bikers stopped what they were doing. Marcus knelt down so he was eye level with Jamal. Up close, Jamal could see the weathered lines on his face, the gray threading through his beard, the old scar tissue on his knuckles. "I know you better than you think," Marcus said softly. "What does that mean?" Marcus looked like he was about to answer, then stopped himself. "It means nobody deserves to be treated like that. And it means I should have been here sooner." "Jamal here for what?" Marcus stood abruptly, breaking eye contact. "Let's just focus on getting you home safe." "Okay." Jamal wanted to push, wanted answers, but something about Marcus's posture told him not to. There was grief in those eyes, old and deep. The school doors opened again. Vice Principal Knox emerged with Ryan, Mike, and Shane in tow. All 3 looked like they'd been crying. Behind them came Principal Harris herself, a stern woman who rarely appeared for anything less than serious incidents. She walked straight to Marcus. "Mr. Washington, Mr. Knox filled me in. Thank you for your intervention, though I wish you'd called us first. With respect, Principal Harris, I did what needed doing." She studied the convoy of bikers, then Jamal, standing muddy and small in the middle of them. "Ryan and his friends have been suspended, pending a full investigation. Their parents are being called. And Jamal, I want you to know that what happened here is unacceptable. We'll be taking this very seriously." Jamal nodded numbly. Harris turned back to Marcus. "I understand your group does community work. Perhaps we should talk about a more formal partnership, anti-bullying programs, mentorship." "We'd be happy to discuss it," Marcus said. "But right now, I need to get Jamal home." Harris hesitated, then nodded. "Of course, Jamal. Take tomorrow off if you need it. We'll talk next week." Marcus put a hand on Jamal's shoulder, gentle, almost hesitant. "Come on, let's get you out of here." As they walked toward the bikes, Jamal heard whispers following them, but they weren't mocking anymore. They were awed. "Who are those guys? Did you see Ryan's face? That kid's lucky they showed up." Jamal climbed onto the back of Marcus's Harley, his clean jacket folded carefully in his lap. Marcus handed him a helmet. "Ever been on a bike before? No. Hold on to me. Don't lean into turns. Just follow my body. You'll be fine." Marcus started the engine. The sound was deafening and thrilling at the same time. Behind them, 49 other engines roared to life, and then they rode. The convoy moved through town like a thunderstorm on wheels. Jamal clung to Marcus's vest, feeling the vibration of the engine through his entire body. Everywhere they passed, people stopped to stare. Cars pulled over, pedestrians pointed and took pictures. Jamal had spent 16 years being invisible. Now surrounded by 50 motorcycles, he was the most visible person in town. They rumbled down Main Street, past the comic shop where Jamal bought his art supplies, past the library where he spent most lunch periods hiding, past the fast food place where Ryan and his friends hung out. Jamal wondered if anyone he knew was watching, wondered what they'd think seeing him on the back of that bike. Part of him felt powerful, protected. Another part felt like a fraud. The convoy slowed as they approached Jamal's neighborhood, a collection of small houses with chain-link fences and dying lawns. Marcus turned onto Oak Street and pulled up in front of a faded blue house with a rusty mailbox. Home. One by one, the bikes lined up along the street. Engines died. In the sudden silence, Jamal could hear his own heartbeat. Marcus dismounted and helped Jamal off the bike. Jamal's legs felt like jelly. He pulled off the helmet and tried to hand it back, but Marcus waved him off. "Keep it for a second. We need to talk." Jamal's stomach twisted. About what? Marcus looked at the house, then back at Jamal. He seemed to be wrestling with something. "Jamal, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Where's your father?" The question hit Jamal like a punch. "Why? Just where is he?" "I don't know. He left when I was 8. Jamal's voice came out harder than he intended. "Why do you care?" Marcus closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, they were wet again. "What's your mom's name?" "Lisa. Lisa Washington." Jamal stepped back. "What's going on? Why are you asking me this?" Marcus reached into his vest pocket and pulled out a worn leather wallet. His hands were shaking as he opened it and removed a small photograph. He stared at it for a long moment, then held it out to Jamal. "Do you recognize anyone in this picture?" Jamal took it carefully. The photo was old and faded, but he could make out 2 people. A young woman with dark hair holding a baby. She was smiling at the camera and she looked happy. Really happy. Jamal's breath caught. That's my mom." "Yeah," Marcus whispered, "and that baby is you." The world tilted. Jamal looked up at Marcus, really looked at him for the first time. The green eyes, the shape of his jaw, the way he stood with his weight on his left leg. The same way Jamal did when he was nervous. "No," Jamal said. "Jamal, no." Jamal shoved the photo back at Marcus. "You're lying. My dad's name was Marcus, but he wasn't. He didn't." "I was 22 when you were born," Marcus said quietly. "Young and stupid and angry at the world. Your mom and we tried to make it work, but I kept screwing up. Drinking, fighting. I wasn't ready to be a father, so you just left. I left because I thought you'd be better off without me." Marcus's voice cracked. "Your mom said I needed to get my life together or stay away. So I stayed away, joined the military, got sober, started the motorcycle club for veterans. I spent 8 years building something I could be proud of." 8 years, Jamal repeated bitterly. "And you never once came back. I sent money every month. Your mom can confirm that." "Money?" Jamal laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You think money makes up for not being there?" "No. God, no." Marcus ran a hand through his hair. "I know I failed you. I know I can't make up for lost time, but when I saw you in that parking lot today, when I saw those kids hurting you," his voice broke completely. "I couldn't drive away. Not again." Jamal felt tears burning in his eyes. "You don't get to do this. You don't get to show up with your bikes and your hero act and pretend you care." "I'm not pretending." "Then where were you?" Jamal's voice rose. "Where were you when Ryan started calling me names in 6th grade? Where were you when I ate lunch alone every single day for 3 years? Where were you when Mom worked double shifts just to keep the lights on?" Marcus had no answer. He just stood there taking it. Tanya approached carefully. "Marcus, maybe we should." "No." Marcus held up a hand. "He deserves to be angry. He deserves worse than angry. I don't want your guilt. Jamal shouted. "I wanted a father." The street was silent. All 49 bikers stood frozen, witnessing the confrontation. Marcus's shoulders sagged. "You're right. I can't fix the past. But I'm here now and I'm not running anymore. If you'll let me, I want to be part of your life, not as some hero, just ask." "As is me." Jamal wiped his eyes angrily. "Why should I believe you? Because I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for a chance." Marcus pulled a business card from his wallet and held it out. "That's my number, my address, the clubhouse. You can call me anytime, day or night, or you can tear it up and tell me to get lost. Either way, the choice is yours." Jamal stared at the card. His hands shook as he took it. The front door of the house opened. Lisa Washington stepped onto the porch, her work uniform still on, her face pale with shock. "Marcus," she whispered. Marcus turned to face her. "Hey, Lisa." She looked at Jamal, then at the convoy of motorcycles, then back at Marcus. "What the hell is going on?" "He saved me," Jamal said quietly. "At school, some guys where he couldn't finish." Lisa's expression shifted from shock to understanding to fury. She marched down the porch steps straight toward Marcus. "You," she said, her voice shaking. "You have no right to come back here after. I know you left us. I know he needed you." She was crying now. He needed his father, and you were gone. Marcus didn't defend himself, didn't make excuses. He just stood there and took it. Finally, Lisa's anger seemed to drain away. She looked at Jamal, mud-stained and exhausted, then at Marcus with his escort of bikers. "Come inside," she said quietly. "Both of you, we need to talk properly." Marcus glanced at his convoy. Tanya nodded and made a signal. The bikers began mounting their bikes, preparing to leave. "Wait," Jamal said suddenly. Everyone stopped. Jamal looked at Marcus. "I'm not ready to forgive you. I might never be, I understand." But Jamal swallowed hard. "But thank you for today, for standing up for me." Marcus's face crumpled with emotion. "Anytime, kid. Anytime." As the convoy rolled away, Jamal stood in his front yard with the business card in his hand and his estranged father on his doorstep. Everything had changed in 3 hours, and he had no idea what came next. The living room felt smaller with Marcus in it. He sat on the edge of the old couch, looking out of place among the second-hand furniture and worn carpet. Lisa paced by the window while Jamal stood in the doorway, still holding his muddy jacket. "I'll make coffee," Lisa said abruptly, disappearing into the kitchen. Jamal and Marcus sat in awkward silence. The house creaked around them. Through the thin walls, Jamal could hear Mrs. Jenkins's TV next door playing a game show. Marcus's eyes drifted around the room, taking in details. Photos of Jamal at various ages covered one wall. School pictures, a few from birthday parties, one of him holding a trophy from middle school art club. Marcus studied each one like he was trying to memorize them. "You've gotten so big," Marcus said quietly. Jamal almost laughed. "Yeah, that's kind of the problem. That's not what I meant. I know what you meant." Jamal sat down in the armchair across from him. "But it's what everyone else means when they say it." Marcus leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "Those kids today, how long has that been going on? Does it matter?" "Yes." Jamal shrugged. "Since forever. Ryan and his friends have been on me since sophomore year. Before that, it was other kids. Different names, same thing. Did you tell anyone?" "Sure. Teachers give you the bullying is bad speech and nothing changes. Mom works 2 jobs. I didn't want to add to her stress." Jamal looked down at his hands. "Mostly I just tried to stay invisible. That's a lonely way to live. Like you'd know." The words came out sharper than Jamal intended, but Marcus didn't flinch. "You're right. I don't know. I wasn't here." Lisa returned with 3 mugs of coffee. She handed one to Marcus without looking at him. then gave one to Jamal before sitting in the other armchair. So she said, "You're back. I'm back." "For how long? A day? A week? Until the guilt wears off?" "Lisa, no." She cut him off. "You don't get to scare me. You disappeared for 8 years, Marcus. 8 years. And now you show up because you happen to see Jamal getting bullied. What if you hadn't been there? Would you still be gone?" Marcus set his coffee down untouched. "I've been trying to work up the courage to come back for 2 years. I drove past this house a dozen times, always talked myself out of stopping." "Why?" Jamal asked. "Because I was ashamed. Because I didn't think you'd want to see me. Because I was afraid you'd be better off if I just stayed away." "That's cowardice," Lisa said flatly. "I know. You took the easy way out. I know that too." Lisa's hands trembled around her mug. "Do you have any idea what it was like raising him alone, watching him come home with bruises and pretending everything was fine? Working overnight shifts and missing his school events because I couldn't afford to take time off. I sent money." "Money isn't a father." Lisa's voice cracked. "Money doesn't show up to parent-teacher conferences. Money doesn't help with homework or scare off bullies or teach him how to shave or tell him he's worth something." Jamal felt tears on his cheeks. He'd never heard his mother say these things out loud. Marcus's face was wet, too. "You're right about all of it. I failed both of you." "So why now?" Lisa demanded. "Why did I? Because I saw my son lying in a puddle while kids laughed at him, and I realized that if I drove away this time, I'd regret it for the rest of my life." Marcus looked directly at Jamal. "I can't undo the past 8 years. I can't give you back the father you should have had. But I can try to be here now if you'll let me." Jamal wanted to scream at him, wanted to tell him it was too late, that he didn't need a father anymore, that Marcus could take his guilt and his motorcycles and disappear again. But he'd spent all day being angry. And under the anger was something else, something he didn't want to admit. "Hope. What does being here even mean?" Jamal asked. Marcus considered the question carefully. "It means I show up not just when it's convenient, not just when something dramatic happens, but regularly, consistently. It means getting to know you, really know you, who you are now, not who I remember from 8 years ago. And if I don't want that, then I respect your choice. But I'll still be available, still be reachable, just in case you change your mind." Lisa stood abruptly. "I need air." She walked to the front porch, leaving them alone again. Jamal watched her go, then turned back to Marcus. "She's angrier than I've ever seen her. She has every right to be. Are you just going to agree with everything we say? When you're right?" "Yeah." Marcus managed a sad smile. "I'm not here to defend myself, Jamal. I'm here to listen." Jamal picked at a loose thread on his jeans. "The bike club, the community work. Is that real? Or just something you said to sound good?" "It's real. We run food drives, toy collections, fundraisers for veteran families. Tanya coordinates most of it. We've helped rebuild 3 houses for disabled vets this year alone. So you became a good person, just not for us." Marcus absorbed the blow. "That's fair. Stop saying everything's fair." Jamal stood up, his frustration boiling over. "Stop being so understanding. It makes it harder to hate you. I don't want you to hate me, but I don't expect you to love me either." Marcus stood too. "I just want a chance to show you I've changed. That's all." Jamal paced the small room. His mind was spinning. Part of him wanted to believe Marcus, wanted to imagine having a father again, but trust felt dangerous. Hope felt like a trap. 1 month, Jamal said finally. "What? 1 month. You show up, you prove you mean it, and then we'll talk about anything more than that." Marcus's eyes widened. "You mean it?" "I don't know if I mean it, but I'm saying it anyway." Jamal crossed his arms. "But if you disappear again, that's it. Forever. No third chances. Deal?" Marcus extended his hand. Jamal looked at it for a long moment, then shook it. Marcus's grip was steady and warm. Lisa appeared in the doorway. "I heard that, and I'm holding you to it, Marcus. One mistake and you're gone. Understood." She looked at Jamal. "You sure about this?" Jamal wasn't sure about anything, but he nodded anyway. "All right then." Lisa checked her watch. "I need to start dinner. Marcus, you should probably go." Marcus nodded and headed for the door. He paused on the threshold and turned back. "Jamal, that jacket you made. It's really good." "Thanks. See you soon, maybe." Marcus smiled, small but genuine, and walked out into the evening. Jamal watched through the window as Marcus mounted his bike and rode away alone, the rumble of the engine fading into the distance. "You okay?" Lisa asked. "No," Jamal said honestly, "but maybe that's okay for now." 3 days passed. Jamal returned to school expecting whispers and stares, but what he got was stranger respect. Kids nodded at him in the hallways. A few even said hi. Ryan and his friends were nowhere to be seen. Suspended, according to the rumors. On Thursday afternoon, Jamal's phone buzzed during art class. Unknown number. "It's Marcus. Still okay if I take you to dinner Saturday?" "No pressure." Jamal stared at the message for 5 minutes before responding. "Jamal, where?" "Marcus, there's a place I want you to see. I'll pick you up at 5. Jamal. "Okay." He told himself it didn't mean anything. One dinner. Part of the 1-month trial. That was all. But Saturday came faster than he expected. Marcus arrived exactly at 5, this time in a pickup truck instead of the Harley. He wore jeans and a plain black t-shirt, looking almost normal without the leather vest and convoy. "Hey," Marcus said when Jamal climbed in. "Hey." They drove in silence through town. Jamal noticed Marcus's hands gripping the steering wheel tight, like he was nervous. Good, Jamal thought. He should be. 20 minutes later, they pulled up to a large building on the edge of town. The sign read, Steel Brotherhood MC Clubhouse. The parking lot was filled with motorcycles and a few cars. "This is where you live?" Jamal asked. "Not exactly. I have an apartment in the back, but this is headquarters, the heart of everything we do." Marcus killed the engine. "Come on, there's people I want you to meet." Inside, the clubhouse was nothing like Jamal expected. It wasn't dark or dingy. It was clean and well lit with wooden tables, a full kitchen, and walls covered in photos. Veterans in uniform, community events, kids at Christmas toy drives. A dozen bikers were scattered around the room. Tanya waved from the kitchen. Dave sat at a table playing cards with 2 other men. "Everybody, this is my son, Jamal," Marcus announced. The words hung in the air. "My son," Marcus said it like he'd been saying it for years. The room erupted in greetings. Bikers stood to shake Jamal's hand, clapping him on the shoulder, introducing themselves. Their names blurred together. Tommy, Carlos, Jesse, Marie, Diane. "We've been waiting to meet you properly," Tanya said, pulling Jamal into a hug. "Marcus has told us so much about you." Jamal glanced at Marcus, confused. "He has for the last 2 years. Yeah. Wouldn't shut up about it once he finally admitted he had a kid." She winked. "Come on, dinner's almost ready." They gathered around a long table covered in food, burgers, fries, coleslaw, and what looked like homemade pie. Jamal found himself sitting between Marcus and Dave, surrounded by laughter and conversation. "So, you made that leather jacket yourself?" Marie asked. She was a woman in her 50s with silver hair and kind eyes. "Yeah, for art class?" Marcus showed us pictures. Impressive work for a first project. Jamal blinked. "You showed them pictures?" Marcus looked embarrassed. "I might have asked Principal Harris to email me some photos from your art teacher. Hope that's okay. It should have felt invasive. Instead, it felt like someone actually cared about what he did. "You should see the workshop," Dave said. "We've got leather tools, sewing machines, all kinds of equipment. Tanya makes custom vests for the club." "You could use it any time," Tanya offered. "If you wanted to make another jacket or try something new." Jamal looked around the table. These people, these strangers were treating him like family, like he belonged. "Why are you all being so nice to me?" The question came out before Jamal could stop it. The table went quiet. Marcus sat down his burger. "Because you're Marcus's kid," Dave said simply, "and because we know what it's like to feel alone. Most of us here are veterans. We've all been through rough times. This club, this family, we built it for people who need it. Plus, anyone who stands up to bullies the way you tried to has our respect," Tanya added. "I didn't stand up to them," Jamal muttered. "I just got pushed into a puddle." "You went back for your jacket," Marcus said quietly. "You didn't run. That takes courage." Jamal wanted to argue, but something in Marcus's expression stopped him. Pride. His father was proud of him. After dinner, Marcus gave Jamal a tour of the clubhouse. There was a gym, a library filled with donated books, and a room dedicated to community projects. Charts on the wall track donations, volunteer hours, upcoming events. "We're planning a fundraiser next month for the Children's Hospital," Marcus explained. "Poker tournament. Maybe you could help design the posters. I saw some of your artwork in those photos. You've got talent." "Maybe," Jamal said. They ended up in the workshop Tanya had mentioned. It was a large room filled with tools, leather hides, and half-finished projects. Jamal ran his fingers over an industrial sewing machine. "This is amazing. It's yours to use whenever you want. I can teach you some techniques if you're interested. I learned leather work in the military." Jamal looked at Marcus. "You do that?" "Of course, if you want." For the first time, Jamal saw a future that didn't involve avoiding his father. He saw Saturday afternoons in this workshop. Conversations, learning, maybe even forgiveness eventually. "Okay," Jamal said. "I'd like that." Marcus's face lit up. "Yeah, don't make it weird." Marcus laughed, a real, genuine laugh. No promises. As they drove home later that night, Jamal felt something shift inside him. The anger was still there. The hurt hadn't vanished, but underneath it all was something new. Possibility. When they pulled up to Jamal's house, Marcus turned to him. "Thank you for coming tonight, for giving me a chance. It's only been 3 days. You've got 27 more to go." "I know. I'll be here for all of them." Marcus paused. "And after, if you'll have me." Jamal got out of the truck, then leaned back in through the window. "Marcus." "Yeah, the workshop. Can I really come by whenever, anytime, day or night? I'll give you the door code?" Jamal nodded and headed inside. Through the window, he watched Marcus sit in the truck for a long moment before driving away. Lisa was waiting in the living room. "How was it?" "Weird," Jamal admitted. "But good weird." She studied his face, then smiled softly. "Good." That night, Jamal lay in bed staring at the business card Marcus had given him. He pulled out his phone and saved the number under a new contact. Not Marcus, not Dad, but not unknown either. He typed Marcus W. It was a start. 2 weeks into the trial period, Marcus showed up every Saturday like clockwork. They worked in the workshop together. Marcus teaching Jamal advanced stitching techniques while sharing stories about his time in the military. Jamal found himself laughing at Marcus's jokes, found himself looking forward to Saturdays. It felt dangerous, like trusting something fragile. Then Tuesday happened. Jamal was at his locker between classes when his phone rang. His mom never called during school hours. "Mom, where's Marcus?" Her voice was shaking. "I don't know what. He was supposed to pick me up from work an hour ago. We had an appointment at the bank for the mortgage. Jamal, if we don't make this payment by 5 today, we could lose the house. Jamal's blood went cold. What? Marcus offered to help. Said he'd drive me and co-sign if we needed it. I didn't want to accept, but we're 3 months behind. And her voice cracked. He promised he'd be here, Jamal. He promised. Maybe he's just running late. I've called him 15 times. It goes straight to voicemail. Jamal felt the old familiar weight settling back onto his chest. Of course, of course. Marcus would disappear when it actually mattered. I'll figure something out, Lisa said. I just wanted to tell you in case you heard from him. She hung up. Jamal stood frozen in the crowded hallway, students flowing around him like water around a stone. The bell rang, but he didn't move. Marcus had promised, sworn he wouldn't disappear again, and the first time something important happened, he vanished. Jamal's hands trembled as he pulled up Marcus's contact. He called. Voicemail. Called again. Voicemail. He texted, "Where are you?" No response. By lunch, Jamal's anger had calcified into something hard and cold. He skipped his afternoon classes and took the bus across town to the clubhouse. The parking lot was mostly empty. Just a few bikes in Tanya's car. Tanya was in the kitchen when Jamal burst through the door. Jamal, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be? Where is he? She blinked. Marcus. He left early this morning. Some kind of emergency. Didn't say where. An emergency? Jamal laughed bitterly. Right. Of course. Honey, what's going on? He was supposed to help my mom today. Something important. And he just disappeared. Jamal's voice rose just like before. Just like he always does. Tanya's expression shifted from confusion to concern. Marcus wouldn't just bail. Something must have happened. Yeah. He remembered who he really is. Jamal turned to leave. Jamal, wait. But he was already gone. He walked home, a 3-mile trek through town. Each step fed his anger. How could he have been so stupid, so naive? Marcus had been playing dress-up as a good father, but when it actually mattered, he'd vanished like smoke. Jamal reached his house to find his mother sitting on the porch steps, crying. Mom. She looked up, mascara streaking her face. The bank extended the deadline. 1 week, but Jamal, I don't know how we're going to. She shook her head. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have trusted him. Jamal sat beside her and put his arm around her shoulders. They sat in silence as the sun dropped lower in the sky. At 7:30, headlights swept across the yard. Marcus's truck pulled into the driveway. Jamal stood up, fists clenched. Marcus climbed out slowly. His face was pale, his hands shaking. There was blood on his shirt. Lisa, Jamal, I am so sorry. Save it, Jamal said coldly. Please, just let me explain. Explain what? That you abandoned us again? That your promises don't mean anything, Jamal? Lisa started, but Jamal cut her off. No, he doesn't get to do this. Jamal walked down the steps until he was face to face with Marcus. You said you'd changed. You said you'd be there. It's been 2 weeks and you already proved you're the same person who left 8 years ago. Marcus's eyes were wet. You're right to be angry, but please, I don't want to hear it. Jamal's voice cracked. We needed you today for something real, not just workshop time and dinners. And you disappeared. I know. And my mom was crying. Do you understand that? She was sitting on those steps crying because she trusted you. Marcus flinched like he'd been hit. What happened to your shirt? Lisa asked quietly. Marcus looked down at the blood like he'd forgotten it was there. Dave had a heart attack this morning. Collapsed at the clubhouse. I rode with him in the ambulance. My phone died at the hospital and I didn't have a charger, and his voice broke. I lost track of time. I'm so sorry. The anger drained out of Jamal like someone had pulled a plug. Is he okay? Lisa whispered. He's stable. They got him into surgery. It was close. Marcus wiped his eyes. But that's not an excuse. I should have found a way to call. Should have. Is that why you have blood on you? Jamal asked. I did CPR until the paramedics arrived. Broke 2 of his ribs. Marcus's hands were still shaking. I thought I was going to lose him. Jamal remembered Dave at the clubhouse laughing and playing cards. Dave, who'd called him brave. Why didn't you tell us right away? Lisa asked. Because Jamal's right. I made a promise and I broke it. The reason doesn't change that. Marcus looked at Jamal. I failed you again. Jamal stood there, torn between anger and understanding. Marcus had a good reason, but Jamal's trust was already so fragile, so carefully rationed. I don't know if I can do this, Jamal said finally. I understand. Every time I start to trust you, something happens, and I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Marcus nodded slowly. I get it, and if you want me gone, I'll go. But Jamal, I need you to know something. He stepped closer. Dave is my best friend. He's been with me since the beginning, and when he was lying there not breathing. You know what I thought about? Jamal shook his head. I thought about you. About missing our time together. About losing my chance to be your father. Marcus's voice was raw. That's how much you matter to me now. Jamal felt tears burning in his eyes. But you still broke your promise. I did. And I'll have to live with that. Marcus pulled something from his pocket. A phone charger. I bought this at the hospital gift shop for next time, so I'll never have an excuse again. The gesture was small, pathetic even, but somehow it meant everything. Lisa cleared her throat. The bank gave us a week. Can you still help? I'll be there tomorrow, I promise, and this time I'll keep it. Jamal looked at his mother. She was studying Marcus's face, searching for something. One more chance, she said finally. But Marcus, I know I won't. Marcus looked at Jamal. Are we okay? Jamal didn't answer right away. He thought about Dave in the hospital, about Marcus covered in blood, doing CPR, breaking ribs to save a life, about the phone charger in his hand. We're not okay, Jamal said, but we're not done either. Marcus's shoulders sagged with relief. That's enough. That's more than enough. Marcus kept his promise. He went to the bank with Lisa the next day, co-signed the paperwork, and even covered 2 months of payments up front. When Lisa protested, he simply said, 8 years of child support I should have paid in person. Dave recovered slowly. The bikers rallied around him, and Jamal found himself visiting the hospital with Marcus, bringing cards the club members had signed. You came? Dave said weakly from his bed, smiling at Jamal. Yeah, well, Marcus said. You were the one who called me brave. Had to make sure you were okay. Dave squeezed Jamal's hand. You are brave, kid, and you've got a good heart, like your old man. Jamal glanced at Marcus, who was trying not to cry. 3 weeks after the incident, Principal Harris called Marcus with a proposal. The school board wanted to launch an anti-bullying initiative, and after hearing about what happened in the parking lot, they wanted the Steel Brotherhood MC involved. Marcus asked Jamal first. They want us to come to a school assembly, talk about bullying, community support, that sort of thing, but only if you're comfortable with it. Jamal thought about Ryan and his friends who'd returned to school sullen and quiet. Thought about the other kids who still got picked on while everyone looked away. I'll do it, but I want to say something too. You sure? Yeah, I'm sure. The assembly was scheduled for Friday morning. The entire school filed into the gymnasium, over 800 students. Jamal sat backstage with Marcus, Tanya, Dave, still moving slowly but insisting he wouldn't miss it, and 5 other bikers. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. "You don't have to do this," Marcus whispered. "Yes, I do." Principal Harris took the microphone first, introducing the program. Then Marcus stepped forward. "My name is Marcus Washington. I'm the president of the Steel Brotherhood Motorcycle Club." His voice carried across the gym. "4 weeks ago, some of your classmates assaulted my son in your parking lot. They mocked him, destroyed his property, and physically attacked him while others stood by and filmed it." The gym was silent. Jamal could see students shifting uncomfortably in their seats. He spotted Ryan 3 rows back, staring at his shoes. "We could have responded with violence," Marcus continued, "but that's not who we are. We're veterans, fathers, mothers, community members. We believe in accountability, not revenge. We believe in building people up, not tearing them down." Tanya stepped forward and talked about the club's community programs. Dave, still weak, spoke about his own experiences with bullying as a kid and how it had nearly destroyed him. Then Marcus turned and gestured to Jamal. "I'd like my son to say a few words." Jamal's legs felt like water as he approached the microphone. 800 faces stared at him. He saw Mrs. Lee smiling encouragingly, saw kids from his art class, saw Ryan finally looking up. Jamal cleared his throat. "For weeks ago, I was lying in that puddle thinking my life would never get better, that I'd always be the fat kid everyone laughed at." His voice cracked, but he pushed through. "I'm not going to stand here and say everything's perfect now. I still get anxious, still hear those voices in my head sometimes. But something changed that day." He looked at Marcus. "Someone showed up. Someone saw me and decided I mattered. And because of that, I started to believe maybe I do matter." He turned back to the crowd. "Here's the thing about bullying. It works because we all participate, the people who do it. Yeah, but also the people who watch and do nothing, the people who share the videos, the people who laugh because they're relieved it's not them." Jamal saw students looking down, avoiding his gaze. "I'm not asking you to be heroes. I'm just asking you to stop being part of the problem. Don't laugh. Don't share the videos. And if you see someone getting hurt, say something. Do something because that person is someone's kid, someone's friend, someone who matters." He stepped back from the microphone. For a moment, nothing happened. Then someone started clapping. Mrs. Lee, then another teacher, then students. Within seconds, the entire gymnasium was applauding. Jamal stood there, overwhelmed. Marcus put a hand on his shoulder and squeezed. After the assembly, Principal Harris introduced them to 3 teachers who wanted to partner with the club for ongoing programs. They discussed mentorship opportunities, workshops, even a scholarship fund. "This is bigger than I expected," Marcus admitted. "Good things usually are," Tanya said. As they walked toward the parking lot, a voice called out, "Hey, Jamal." Jamal turned. Ryan stood a few feet away, his friends nowhere in sight. He looked smaller somehow, defeated. "I just wanted to say what you said in there about being part of the problem." Ryan swallowed hard. "You were right. And I'm sorry." "Really sorry." Jamal studied him for a long moment. The apology felt genuine, but the hurt was still fresh. "I don't forgive you yet," Jamal said honestly. "But maybe someday?" Ryan nodded. "That's fair." He walked away. Marcus watched him go. "That took guts for both of you. He's got a long way to go." "So do we," Marcus said quietly. "But we're getting there." That evening, the club threw a small celebration at the clubhouse. They ordered pizza and raised sodas and toast to new beginnings. Jamal found himself in the workshop with Marcus working on a new project, a vest like the ones the bikers wore. "You really think this partnership thing will work?" Jamal asked, carefully stitching a seam. I think we have to try. The world's got enough anger in it. Might as well add some good. Jamal smiled. That's cheesy. I'm a dad. I'm allowed to be cheesy. Marcus paused. If that's okay, me calling myself that. Jamal's hand stilled. He'd been avoiding that word for weeks, but sitting here in this workshop, surrounded by people who'd become family, it didn't seem so scary anymore. It's okay, Jamal said quietly. Dad? Marcus's eyes went wide, then wet. He pulled Jamal into a hug, tight and long and full of 8 years of absence trying to be made right in a single moment. I love you, kid, Marcus whispered. I should have said it sooner. I love you too, Jamal said, and meant it. When they pulled apart, both were crying, but they were smiling too. Dave appeared in the doorway, leaning on a cane. You two done being emotional? Pizza's getting cold. We're coming, Marcus said, wiping his eyes. As they walked back to the main room, Jamal realized something had shifted, not just between him and Marcus, but inside himself. He'd spent so long feeling invisible, worthless, small. But he wasn't small. He'd stood in front of his entire school and told his truth. He'd faced his father's abandonment and chose to forgive anyway. He'd looked his bully in the eye and held his ground. He was stronger than he'd ever known. And for the first time in his life, Jamal Washington felt like he was exactly where he belonged. 6 weeks after the assembly, autumn arrived in full force. The leaves turned gold and red, and the air carried that crisp promise of change. Jamal had settled into a rhythm. School during the week, workshop time with Marcus on Saturdays, family dinners with his mom and Marcus on Sundays. It still felt strange sometimes, having a father, but it also felt right. The anti-bullying program had taken off beyond anyone's expectations. Tanya coordinated monthly workshops where bikers came to talk about respect, mental health, and finding your tribe. Ryan and his friends were required to attend as part of their restitution. But something unexpected happened. They actually engaged. Ryan even apologized to Jamal again, this time with genuine remorse in his eyes. I don't expect us to be friends, Ryan had said, but I wanted you to know I'm working on being better. Jamal had nodded. Forgiveness was still a journey, but at least they were both walking it. On the first Saturday of October, Marcus showed up at Jamal's house earlier than usual. He was grinning like a kid. What? Jamal asked suspiciously. Put on your jacket. The one you made? Jamal had finished restoring it weeks ago, adding new details he'd learned from Marcus. It fit perfectly now, worn and comfortable like a second skin. Why? Just trust me. They drove to the clubhouse where the entire Steel Brotherhood was assembled. All 50 bikes gleaming in the morning sun. Tanya handed Jamal a helmet with a smile. What's happening? Jamal asked. Marcus swung a leg over his Harley. You remember that first ride when we brought you home and you felt like you actually mattered? Jamal nodded. Well, today we're riding again, but this time it's not about rescue or protection. Marcus's eyes were bright. This time it's about celebration, about who you've become. Dave rolled up on his bike, fully recovered and grinning. Ready to ride with us, kid? As one of the family, Jamal's throat tightened. I'm not a biker. You don't have to be, Tanya said. You're one of us anyway. Marcus patted the seat behind him. Come on, I want to show you something. Jamal climbed on, and the convoy fired up with a roar that shook the ground. They pulled out onto the highway, the morning sun warm on their backs. This time Jamal wasn't clutching Marcus in fear. He sat tall, watching the world blur past, feeling the power of 50 bikes moving as one. People waved from their cars. A little kid in a passing truck pumped his fist excitedly. They rode for an hour before Marcus signaled, and pulled off onto a scenic overlook. Below them, the valley spread out in autumn glory, a patchwork of colors and light. The convoy parked and everyone dismounted. Marcus walked to the edge of the overlook with Jamal beside him. "When I left 8 years ago," Marcus said quietly, "I thought I was too broken to be anyone's father. I'd lost myself in anger and alcohol, and didn't think I deserved a second chance." "What changed?" Jamal asked. "The military straightened me out, gave me structure." "But it was Dave who saved me." Marcus glanced back at his friend. "After I got out, I was still lost. He convinced me to start the club, said, 'Everyone needs a tribe, people who see you at your worst and choose to stay anyway.'" Dave nodded from where he leaned against his bike. "For years I've had this family, this brotherhood, and it was good, but there was always a hole." Marcus turned to Jamal. "You were that hole, the son I walked away from, the biggest regret of my life." Jamal felt tears pricking his eyes. "When I saw you in that parking lot, I realized I'd been given the rarest thing in the world, a second chance, and I almost drove away, almost let fear win again." Marcus's voice cracked. "But you gave me something I didn't deserve. You let me try to be your father." "You are my father," Jamal said simply. Marcus pulled him into a hug. Over his shoulder, Jamal could see the other bikers watching, this chosen family that had welcomed him without hesitation. "I'm proud of you," Marcus whispered. "Not just for standing up at that assembly or forgiving me, but for being you, for being kind in a world that's been cruel to you, for having the courage to hope again." They stood like that for a long moment, father and son, while the wind carried the distant sounds of the highway. Finally, Dave called out, "You two going to hug all day, or are we riding?" Marcus laughed and wiped his eyes. They walked back to the bikes together, but before mounting, Marcus reached into his vest and pulled out a patch, the Steel Brotherhood logo with the words, "Honorary Member," stitched below it. "This is yours," Marcus said. "If you want it," Jamal took the patch with trembling hands. It was heavy, embroidered with care, representing years of brotherhood and service. "Can I put it on my jacket? That's exactly where it belongs." Tanya produced a needle and thread from her vest. Of course she did. And right there on the overlook, she helped Jamal stitch the patch onto his handmade leather jacket. The other bikers gathered around, watching the ritual with quiet reverence. When it was done, Jamal stood wearing his jacket with pride, not just for the craftsmanship, but for what it represented: survival, growth, family. "Looking good, kid," Dave said. Marcus mounted his Harley and held out his hand. Jamal took it, climbing on behind him one more time. "Where to now?" Jamal asked. Marcus started the engine. "Forward. Always forward." The convoy rolled out 50 bikes strong, with Jamal among them as they merged onto the highway heading toward the sunset. Jamal thought about how much had changed in 6 weeks. He'd started as the invisible fat kid who ate lunch alone and got shoved in puddles. Now he was part of something bigger than himself. He had a father who showed up, a community that saw his worth, a voice that people listened to. The road stretched ahead, full of promise and possibility. Jamal didn't know what the future held. There would still be hard days. Old wounds didn't heal overnight, and the world could still be cruel. But he wasn't facing it alone anymore. He had his father beside him. He had his tribe behind him. And he had himself stronger, braver, and more whole than he'd ever imagined possible. As the engines roared and the convoy disappeared into the golden afternoon, Jamal smiled. This wasn't an ending. It was the beginning of everything.